there's bragging rights, right? There's pride. These guys don't want to get completely wrecked. They're in it to win.
Oh, of course. It's like you said, it's the matter of pride. But like you said, I mean, we are into the pistol round here for Mirage, and we are going to see this push coming in towards the B bomb site, and Edward's going to be able to open things up. We've still got Seized over here that finds two. The falling headshot, Fallen's in jeopardy as well. He's going to get taken down, and that will be the opening round going NaVi's way.
It sure is. I thought it was a knife, but we're already into this. So, NaVi, with a clear-cut pistol round, just racking it down. And, I mean, two beautiful frags from Edwin and Cease with the USPs. Now, it's interestingly enough, on every map that we've seen so far for SK, they always go for this opening pick with Fallen taking the scout for himself. Now, the guy is crazy good with the scout, so it's understandable why it can be the power play that you desperately need on rounds like this to break the CT's economy. The rest of the team coming up with Deagles and Tech 9, so plenty of firepower on the side of SK, but NaVi will be firm favourites to take round 2 as well.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about Fallen having the scout. Taco, a little miscommunication there maybe on the SK side, but Edward's going to come off the catwalk and find two more down there by the bottom side of Underpass, and Simple and Flamey finishing it off. It's a flawless round for NaVi, and this is a great start for them into this matchup. Only one death on the table so far, and that's Seized.
Yeah, it's been a solid shutout thus far. The issue, of course, with going for that force buy in the second round is it does leave you bare bones.
So we'll see if this anti-eco round is going to be any bear any more fruit for the SK side. Just try to get a couple of guns out of the hands of the NaVi side, see if they can do a little bit of economical damage here. But again, it's going to be Seized over towards the B-bomb site. Fallen just playing a little ring around the rosy here, making a little bit of foot noise over in that hallway, trying to bait out some nades. But NaVi's a little bit savvy for that. They're not going to throw out too much early on in this one.
Yeah, just P250s. Just a couple of them guarding the jump shot. Very nicely done. Edward with the M4, and you can see that they're pretty much just filtering through mids without any smokes, any flashes. It should be a complete shutdown, and indeed it will be. And as you highlighted before, Mega Man, only Fallen has got himself a frag in 3 rounds. This is going to do the world of good to the CT's economy.
Absolutely, and I mean you can already see it. The only one that's really spent down is Seized. He's going to have 4,900 going into this round. The only thing they're going to need to buy up is nades into this. Not really going to be necessary for the head armor, but Guardian's going to pick that up anyway. And we'll see our first rifle round come on the board, and it's not going to have an AWP on it for Fallen. So this is kind of a sticky situation for SK to be in. I expect them to go for a little bit of a quicker execute into this round, just based off of the fact that they don't have a lot of utility to work with, so they might want to get out in front of some of the CT side smokes and things of that nature. But for now, they are going to at least slow it down, put a little pressure on the B halls and top mid presence as well. So SK looking to get a little map control into this round, because they haven't had that yet in this match.
Absolutely not. It's been a rough start, but still early days, of course. 3 smokes, a few flashbangs here and there. A bit of team damage thrown in the mix on top of that through mids. As 2 players trying to AK their way to glory into window. Showtime holding the close angle. Had a bit of a rough game yesterday, but you can't expect a great deal as, of course, him just fitting in for the time being. Edward playing the short side. Bomb still dropped towards the T-spawn, so declaration that SK just want to try and pick a mix comp at the moment. See what they can get done. Showtime could be not long for this world. He's going to get picked off from Edward. The headshot raining out, and another great start for NaVi, albeit they have lost a little bit of damage on Simple, so that could be a bit of an Achilles heel going forward.
Yeah, but FNX just got dinked up in the B hallways from, I believe that was Seized holding the angle, and Seized is actually going to be aggressive behind this. He gets caught out. Fallen, nice headshot from him, but he's also down really low at 22, so 2 players pretty lit on the SK Gaming side, and they're going to revamp their strategy and work back towards this A bomb site. You can see Taco pushing up towards those T stairs. But again, they've only got 2 flashes and a smoke to work with into this round remaining, so it's going to be a very difficult execute. The big promising thing in this is that all of the utility has been spent from the NaVi side. They've got no smokes and no flashes to hold this off, but they do have a Guardian.
Yeah, and that could go a long way. Although, a lot of pressure now put on him. As a flashbang lands, Taco somehow surviving, does get tagged, but down to 29. And now the M4 should just rip the rest of NaVi. SK, pardon me, to shreds, especially considering the time's only 1 second left. And indeed, there we go. NaVi will have it under wraps. The gun does get saved by Cold Zero, but no real economy to play with behind him. So it's been a very rough start for SK.
Yeah, I mean, 3 kills over the course of 4 rounds is definitely not going to be looking all that fantastic for him. And, I mean, Guardian's going to pick up the AWP now. doesn't really need to even upgrade from the scout. He could continue on with that and continue to build bank behind it, but he's going to buy the op. 7-0 for Edward, 7-0 for Guardian. And this is one of the things we've talked about in the past, is that Edward has really started to become one of the big-time star players for the NaVi side. In the past couple of LAN tournaments that they've been in, he's been a pinnacle part of their success. And he continues to do so moving forward into this show match, which is really awesome to see. The old 1.6 legend himself really stepping his game up and doing some big things. And he's going to get pressured here at B. Edward is going to be able to open up, but it's seized with the double, making it triple. And it's going to be down to Fallen with only 14 HP. And, oh, he's going to get headshot through, actually through seized by Flamey. And he goes down, and it's another relatively flawless round for NaVi. They keep 4 alive.
SK will be back in with a decent mix of weapons, but again, it's bare bones. You know, there's no real grenades behind Fallen other than a smoke. There's a Galil. Let's see if they can get this done, because this could very quickly slip away from them. Still early days, of course, but they haven't really shown any potency thus far on the T side, Mega Man, and that's going to be an issue. That's going to be a worrying sign in the back of their minds.
Oh yeah, and it's not even just because their executes have been a little lackluster, to say the least. It's the fact that they're just getting out aim-dueled right now. Now, granted, we've only seen one full gun round come out, but they only managed to take down, what, 1 or 2 players during that entirety of that gun round. So if you look at the grand scheme of things, yeah, they got 2 kills and saved a gun on the last gun round. This time around, I mean, it's a little bit better. I mean, you talked about the utility that they have. They have a few more nades to work with this time, and they've held them for a little bit longer. So when they do have that execute, which looks to be maybe a mid-execute with a split on towards the B bomb site with 2 players up in the B halls right now, and the bomb actually rotating around there as well, that they are going to at least have the utility for it. And Taco, he's treading on thin ice over there, peeking out with Guardian over in jungle, so he's lucky to escape with his life in that situation. But they are going to group back up here, and we'll see where they decide to go here in a moment's notice.
Yeah, one of the issues, though, is that time is starting to get a bit thin, so time itself could effectively be the 6-man for NaVi. 30 seconds left. The bomb is easily salvageable for Taco, but without any opening picks, this is a lot to ask for. As the SK lineup now pushing through into the B-app side. Edward is going to be the first player to pick up 1 and a second, but will get taken down from FNX, who opens up with 2 of his own. 2 massive entry frags, much needed with 13 seconds. Now the Fallen's chimed in with 1 and a second onto Guardian, who was caught napping, jumping in the air. This round, somehow, some way, will probably go the way of SK. I'm saying that because Flamey's still alive, but on the other side of the map. And in a 1-on-3, probably not likely he's too interested in this.
What a recovery from SK. I mean, you've got Edward just doing big things for them, picks up the double over there by Catwalk, and then FNX just comes in and shuts everything down, gets him, gets seized, and then, of course, Fallen coming around on Catwalk, finds the guy pushing out in towards that B-bomb site to try to deny the plant, and also gets, like you said, catches Guardian napping on Catwalk. I believe he had his knife out trying to jump around the corner and get a little bit more of an aggressive angle, and he goes down, so a beautiful recovery from SK, and they're actually going to find their first round on the board, and that forced Flamey to save. But the money, the economy that's stacked up from NaVi, because they haven't been forced to rebuy, is pretty substantial. So they're going to have a nice, comfortable buy into this round, and they're going to keep the pressure on, and here comes the double up setup. And like you said, it's going to be Guardian and seized.
Yeah, simple. Definitely capable of warping, of course. We mentioned this before. Can pick it up off the corpse of one of his teammates. So definitely something to watch out for. But, I mean, Fallen has been godlike this last week. Well, I mean, he's been godlike for the longest time, but especially this last week. Yesterday, he was playing out of his skin, but no one else was really stepping up to the plate. And I'm hoping for him that doesn't continue today. As I just mentioned, the man, he wasn't underpass, does get the leg shot onto Guardian. So down to 16 goes Guardian. That's going to be a bit of a worrying issue for NaVi. But there is a lot of firepower with the rest of the team. Both teams, in fairness, have a full amount of grenades, or at least they did at the start of the round at their disposal, so I'll be curious to see how they filter out. Again, SK more opting on the B side of the map, and Fallen has finally got his man. He's already tagged one up, and he's finished off the other one. This guy's unstoppable.
Yeah, that was seized playing an extremely aggressive angle in B halls, too. He actually had the lineup on Fallen's position. I was expecting Fallen to die there, but Simple actually, C started to push forward a little bit in the B halls to get an even more aggressive angle, and that's right when Fallen comes up, and he does manage to land the shot. So, with that being said, SK are going to carry the man advantage to the late stages of this round, and the HP advantage, especially with Guardian down at 16. Now, granted, he has the AWP. And we've seen this man do some crazy stuff with this. The smoke goes out on B Halls. He's going to land the opener, takes down Cold, and he's going to have a time to get back from this one. So going to be painful coming into this B bomb site. Edward with another one. There's the snapshot, but Showtime finishing off Guardian opens things up a little bit here for the SK side onto this B bomb site. And Edward taking an aggressive angle. Showtime's going to be able to chip him down a little bit and actually roasts him. And time is of the essence. 10 seconds left.
Yep, 10 seconds to go, and it's going to be very close. But SK just about get it planted with 5 seconds left. And now it's all down to this 2-1-2. Simple coming from B-Apps. There's going to be Taco who chimes in for the first frag, leaving Simple in the 1v2. He's got the first frag. Fallen narrowly misses with the up shot. Simple very nearly picks him up through the smoke, but Fallen is going to connect it. And the carry continues. He's going to get the second round for SK. Oh my goodness, that was on a nice edge though. Very nearly didn't get planted, and the 2-1-2 goes the way of the Brazilians.
Yeah, and following that round, I mean, he picks up 2 kills, but he does about 286 damage into that round, which is just massive, massive damage to both Guardian, taking down C's, taking down Simple. The big story for me right now is the fact that Cold Zero's actually yet to get a frag, which is uncharacteristic to say the least. We do see a force buy coming from NaVi, and they're going to do a little bit of damage into this, getting a 2-for-1 trade to start things off, but FNX coming around from Palace, going to find one, but the spray down from Edward, he's not at B this time, he's going to be over at A. Does the damage to FNX, finished off by Guardian, and he's going to be able to find Showtime, but now Cold Zero's on the board, but it's a 1v3, now made a 1v2, and he's got to clutch this out. Still 1 minute and 20 seconds. All this happened within the first 30 seconds of the round.
Explosive fireworks. Downside for Cold Zero, though, bomb is dropped in a precarious position, and both the CTs know it, so they're going to be setting up a crossfire. Of course, they don't know where he's coming from, and this is where that time that you alluded to before is going to play maybe in favor of Cold Zero. Can try and do some mind games. Hope the CTs split up and pick them off one by one. They only have a molly actually at their disposal, NaVi, so no flashes or smokes to try and fend off a position. So right now Edward's in ramp and Simple pushing into Palace. Decent positions assumed, but this is going to allow Cold Zero to get up through connector and maybe round the back. So it's of utmost importance that NaVi get the avenge frag if Cold Zero can get one of these kills.
The problem is they're not really in a position to get the avenge frag. With Simple pushing into Halls and Edward playing on the A ramp, I mean, they got bomb control, but he can actually sneak up and grab the bomb from this position, even though they're not going to be... Okay, there you go. All right, Edward does circle back around and does manage to find Cold. All that time ticked off the clock. They had to assume he was coming from the CT side since they didn't spot anything on A ramp or the Palace Halls, and they do manage to get that done. So a 6th round on the board for NaVi. The money still not good for SK, so they're going to be back onto the pistols and see if they can have a little bit more success into this one. Because it's like I said, I mean, Cold Zero off to a slow start, 1-1-7, very uncharacteristic from him. Touted as one of the best players in the world, so we'll see if he can recover, and that's not a good start for him into the round. Down to 23 already, and Fallen's been taken off by Simple.
Yeah, speaking of the man, he's actually currently in mid. After getting tagged, he's still trying to get himself a frag, but gets finished off, and, well, it was an eco coming into this. Weren't expecting a great deal from SK. Down they go. Don't you love it as well, Mega Man, when for some reason the director's like, what's that? Third person out of nowhere. Brilliant.
Oh, I love it.
Excellent, isn't it?
It's the best feeling ever.
Feels
One
good,
thing
man.
that I would like to point out, though, Vince, Edward is 18-3 right now.
Yeah.
9 rounds in.
Monster.
He's toting that 2 frags per round ratio right now, which is ridiculous, massive to say the least. That is quite the performance from Edward. He is in God mode right now.
18 frags already, and he is going to be the first player to fall, so the commentator's curse is real. Sees the double spray down, though. He's going to get both Showtime and Taco. Smokes flashes, doesn't mean a single thing to Seize. And a 3rd kill with a bomb dropped. He's looking for a 4th. Cold Zero will take him out, but the damage surely been done. 2-1-3. The bomb out in a horrendous position, but again, time is working for them. The downside, though, Simple snaking his way up through underpass, and he's going to land the frag. And now the noose is tightening. They know that Cold Zero was here in B-Apps before. Headshot will dome Simple. That keeps the dream alive, but, well, Guardian's going to take it away. 8-2 now.
Yeah, that dream's dead now, and they're back onto the pistols again. This buy-lose save situation that SK Gaming have found themselves in right now. And it's, like you said, I mean, the noose is tightening around the neck at this point. They need to start getting some rounds on the board. Otherwise, it's going to be very rough, even on their CT side. If NaVi continue this trend, I mean, they're looking really, really strong right now. Their CT setups, it's not like they're really doing anything super special. It's just that when they switch things up, it's subtle differences each time. And that's setting SK, like, completely awry. They don't know how to react to that.
Flamey again this time. It's another eco. SK seemingly have only had a few decent rifle rounds. By and large, it's been Deagles, P250s, a couple scouts here and there. Not a great deal else. And the blink of an eye, Showtime is the last man remaining. And we've seen this so many times, Mega Man, that the rounds are over so fast. Like, all the action happens within the space of 10-15 seconds. Such is the nature of both NaVi and SK.
Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing about it, because you think about both of these two teams, and they're usually like the slow execute style, 30 seconds left on the clock, 20 seconds left on the clock before they're hitting a bomb site, and then it's just a brawl on one side of the map. And some of these rounds have been finished off within the first 30, 40 seconds of the round, which is completely unconventional for these two teams. So, very interesting to say the least. Flamey going to get aggressive over here underneath the balcony, going to put himself up on top. This time around, though, he's not going to get pressured from anybody coming around that side, and you can see Fallen trying to lead the charge. Guardian from Ticket Booth is blinded, but Flamey gets caught out. They're already up by Tetris. They're already up in the A bomb site, and this is a nice turnaround from SK. They're going to be able to find themselves a little bit more map control and at least an open A bomb site to try to get into. Simple going to go blow for blow with FNX, but he's going to lose that battle. Does manage to dink him down to 12 HP, but at this point, it's a 5-on-3 situation, and the retake is on from NaVi.
Coldzera's in a pretty solid position here. Tight right in connector. I don't think Edward's going to assume this. Flash will land. Coldzera's in prime position, and he will strike. Both players now for the CTs funneling their way through jungle. This bottleneck, this choke point is going to be very rough for them to try and retake with, especially as Guardian's been put down. It's all on C's. He's gone connector, but he's not long for this world. FNX will finally get SK their third round. But his 3 rounds going to move into 6, and for me, that's what they're going to need here on a halftime scoreline.
The crazy thing for me right now is, if Edward wasn't at 21-5, if Edward wasn't getting these multi-frag rounds, what kind of match would we be seeing right now? If he was down with the rest of his team around, 10, 12 kills, this could be a much closer matchup. That's just showing you the power of this man taking over this map for the time being, and that's not a good start for SK. Fallen finally back on the op, but he gets decked to the floor by Guardian. Peeking down on A ramp, so Guardian switching up his position again. He was Ticket Booth the round before, he was playing over by Window Room, so he's staying mobile with the op as well.
I feel like Edward's very top-heavy score is also an indication of where SK have typically attacked. We haven't really seen them attack A great deal with set plays. Seen Fallen maybe a couple times push through ramp, flirting with the idea of Palace, but by and large it's been mid and B, and that's where Edward has shone. He's on catwalk every single round by and large. He's playing short catwalk side. And he is teeing off. 1-4 on trade early on in the round again. But it's Fallen for simple. So you probably say that with how Edward's been playing, Guardian is also doing very well. Losing Fallen is a crippling blow for SK. But let's see if the rest of the team can pick up the slack.
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. And, Edward has actually been a little bit mobile too. C's gets caught out by Showtime, peeking a little bit too aggressively there in Window Room, going for a little bit of intel. And he's going to get punished for that, but again, it's Edward over here on this B bomb site. They finally molly him out of position. Cold is going to be up there in the B halls, but what do they have for this situation? He's worked his way back around towards Van, hasn't showed himself just yet, and if he jumps up on the barrel, he's going to have a Coldzera as a sitting duck up there in the halls. Not a lot that he's going to be able to do. If he even just takes a jump peek, he's going to be able to spot him out. He's just patiently waiting right now, not peeking out. There's the jump up. And Cold actually recovers from that, finds the kill, but it's Showtime and Connector taking down Guardian, and the long lurk from Taco and Palace Halls finds Flamey, and that will be a 4th round for SK, so a little bit of a turnaround, but remember, the last time that they were able to get rounds on the board, it came in a 2-round spurt, and then it was all NaVi again.
That's very true. Yeah, SK were able to put 2 rounds together, and then it was a complete shutout. Again, I feel like 6 rounds is definitely required for SK. 4 wouldn't be the end of the world, but it is a pretty steep hill to climb on a map like Mirage. 4-player stack as NaVi are into an eco, leaving C's by himself for the USP on B, and Fallen catches the very top of Simple's head and takes it clean off. C's now going to try and push his way through, get a bit of information, maybe a cheeky frag if he can, but really this is a throwaway round here for NaVi. They have very little hope of getting anything done, hence the 4-1 formation.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think about them getting 4 rounds in a row, but their economy being in shambles after losing 2. It just goes to show you the power of the economy in this game. But they're doing some work into this round. They've actually managed to drop 2 players off of the SK side, but here comes Cold. He's got the AWP. He's going to be able to find that. It's actually the double up setup here for SK. So this was the turnaround. This was where Cold, needed to find his feet. He was having a little bit of issues earlier on in this one, and oh man, poor Edward. There you go.
Yep,
trying to get his way through T-spawn, and unfortunately making a little bit too much noise. Fallen's going to be able to find him on that.
Very rough indeed. Just hoping for the best, but NaVi are going to have a decent buy into the last round, hence the save in round 14. SK finally in a position where they can afford a whole bunch of weapons. Simples for Mass could be a bit of a weak point, but he is very capable of using that to its utmost potential, and he is the man that can see action first as Taco comes through ramp by himself. Fairly odd that he'd go through that aggressively, considering where the rest of his team is. It wasn't as if that was a fast A play. He's by himself and effectively gives his life up for free. Any information gathered there, Mega Man, is by and large useless because there's so much time left in the round.
Yeah, and he's been doing some aggression over towards the A ramp a couple of rounds that I've seen. Usually he just gets over to the A ramp, throws out a smoke and maybe a flash to try to bait some nades out, but this time he just goes straight up, tries to catch a player out, but it's not going to work out for him. And now SK are playing from the back foot. They've lost the second player. Guardian is able to take down Showtime from the underpass via connector, and Edward in window room is going to be able to find FNX with a nade out. So this is a nice turnaround from NaVi. They're looking at a 10-5 scoreline unless coldzera and Fallen can get these offs working, and, well, they're not. Seized and Edward going to be able to finish that one off. Edward finishing the half 24-4-7. What a performance from him. Doubling up on Guardian, who's sitting at 12, which still isn't even a bad half. 12 frags. I'd take that almost any day.
That's absolutely sick, isn't it? 24 frags at the first half. If this goes the distance, he's on for a 40 bomb potentially, which would be ridiculous. Obviously, though, roles being reversed, very different situation. Edward not able to plant his feet on short and effectively wreck anybody that's mid or B. He's going to have to start being aggressive here. So it will be curious to see how NaVi step up to the plate on their T side. This is SK's chance now, though. They have to win this pistol for me to keep themselves in this game. If they don't, they're staring up a maybe 12-5, 13-5 deficit before they can even start to get AWPs in play. So this is massive.
Yeah, and it's a set play towards the A bomb site. They're playing it for retake on the SK side. They have two players over here. They've got Showtime at stairs. They've got a player in CT. The smokes are already coming in. The execute is on. Showtime just going to try to spam through this smoke, see if he can connect on anybody, but he actually does manage to tag Edward down to 79, but Edward's got that rate loss by, and he's just rushing straight out. Flamey finds FNX in CT. That's a little bit of a mistake, and this is an awkward kind of exchange as Guardian barrels through the smoke, and he's going to get caught now. P250 in the hands of the CT side.
Well, the plant is down, but elsewhere on the map, I was just about to say that Simple and Taco going at it towards the T spawn. And the play for rotation dominance does go the way of the terrorists. However, the downside is that Simple's now in a 1-on-3. There is no kit for SK, but the bomb's planted in an awkward position for Simple. It means he's going to have to come straight through with the USP. Doesn't have many health left either. The first frag goes his way, but the strength in numbers approach is more than good enough for SK, and they will have the bomb defused to boot. So big round, and they have just about clutched onto it.
That was a really awkward bomb plan. That was like out in the open back behind triple, and Simple coming around from terrorist spawn from the T stairs actually couldn't get a line of sight on the player that was over there defusing the bomb, even though it was a 10-second defuse. Now granted, they meat shielded the diffuser anyway and ended up picking up the kill, but he might have, if it was planted by just regular back behind triple boxes, he might have had an opportunity into that to be able to find a frag, and unfortunately that's not the case. Now look at this information play from Taco. He just barrels through the B halls. They know that this is coming towards A. They should be rotating immediately as they start to drain on out. It's going to be FNX to find the opener, but Showtime goes down to a Glock.
Bomb planted as well. That pretty much was the mission for NaVi. But they're really actually starting to shred through the CT. Somehow it's gone down to a 2-on-1. Seized has the M4, but no Kevlar, so aim punch is going to be an issue. Those VMPs should shred through, and they do get the avenged frag. But that's 4 frags in effectively a full-on eco with a bomb planted. NaVi will be very happy with this result.
Oh, they got to be ecstatic. I mean, that was all seized too. He gets out there, he finds Showtime with that Glock frag in towards CT spawn, gets the M4, gets a sweet spray transfer on the two players coming around from connector and stairs, and even half blind is able to find the other frag over by jungle. But ultimately, SK Gaming, they do get the round on the board. They are going to be able to formulate a decent buy into this. They've got good utility on 3 out of the 5 players. They've got a Mag 7 for Fallen, so he's going to try to put a little bit of money in the bank, probably play an aggressive angle. Yeah, he's going to be way up on T stairs. There's actually nobody home right now, so he's got a lot of information for his team also. It's mid controls the order of the day for NaVi. They've got 3 players in the top side.
And this is why losing 4 players in the previous round hurt so much. There's no chance at an AWP. It's going to be M4s and a Mag 7, so they're going to have to play accordingly. They can't afford to peek out knowing that Guardian will have an AWP on his side. Hence, mid becomes a real factor for NaVi, and SK have to play more of a defensive CT side. Taco's going to look for information. It's going to cost him his life. That's a massive pick for NaVi, especially considering that B is now ripe for the taking. That's going to force out one of the A defenders over to the B side, and in doing so, that will spread their defenses that much more thin.
Yeah, that was really risky, especially since that was one of the rifles. And now they've got cat control because mid was taken over. They're not ready for a second player here, but Edward continues on with these rifles. He has been a force to be reckoned with, 26 and 9 on the scoreboard. Wasn't able to get a couple of kills during the pistol round or subsequently the anti-ecos, but when it comes to the rifles, the man is on point today. You talked about how good Fallen was yesterday. It's Edward today.
Yeah, absolutely. And Fallen hasn't necessarily been stepping up to the level that he was yesterday. You can't expect someone to perform every single day. And speaking of the ban, he lands his 10th frag and does pick up an AK for himself. So if they can take 2 assault rifles out this round, it wouldn't be the worst case scenario. But of course, NaVi now breathing down their necks and indeed extending their lead that much more. It's going to be worrying. And it all comes off the back of a peek from Taco that costs them dearly on the B side of the map. It looks like they will be able to save both weapons, unless Guardian can get himself in with a quick shot, but instead he decides better of it. He wants to keep the open play.
Yeah, that was a much smarter decision than trying to push into Palace and take an unknown risk. Just go where it's already clear, save that off. You don't want to lose that, especially after the bomb where there's not going to be anybody in position to recover that if you do die. So pretty awesome stuff there from NaVi, though. They stay poised throughout that round, and the patience pays off as SK tries to get a little bit too aggressive and tries to find info. And they get knocked to the floor for it. So it's a good turnaround. 4 rounds still to lead. And fast catwalk push here. Again, it's Edward.
What about Edward, man? He seems to love catwalk on both sides. Just pushing there on CT and T side. He is the short king. Taco, though, will make short work of him. Gives SK the player lead. For how long, though, is the question. As simple as lining up Fallen. Picked him up. Very nearly a second one, but FNX is too fast on the trigger. The one-man advantage for the Brazilians continues. 1 minute 15 on the time. Plenty of time up there. Still Guardian lurking with the AWP. And you've got C's too. So a 3-on-2 favouring SK, but time could very well be a factor.
Yeah, they're going to have to run the clock down a little bit here. Ultimately, the end goal looks like it's going to be the B-bomb site, as I stutter over my words. But Taco's here. And he does have a flashbang, but Guardian's getting a lot of map control up catwalk, and Taco's going to feel really lonely really soon. He might be able to spot the gun barrel, but Guardian actually turns at the right time. And the timing is just not on Taco's side right now. This is going to be very difficult for him to hold as Guardian's starting to flank around his side, finds him, takes him down, and now the B-bomb site's open, and Guardian in this forward position spots out another player. He's going to have to go blow for blow with showtime. But luckily for him, that's not going to be the case. He does manage to fall back from this. And thank you, chat. Bad. As we do see Guardian try to fall back into the bench. Bench. There you go. See? I can do it on all sides. Oh, that's so fast.
He's so quick, man. Even that flash was tasty when he came out of the kitchen. You know, it's just little things. Now he sees a foul play, lands FNX in midair. Guardian take a bow. That was beautiful. A 3-on-2 goes the way of NaVi. And you can see SK's bank balance now is completely crippled. That is bad on so many levels for SK. What a shot.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing. You've already got Edward playing lights out right now. If Guardian starts to catch fire, this is going to be really rough for SK. And that's just the nature of the beast right here, because Guardian's usually just the hard carry for the NaVi side. You heard about it for so many, 2 years where it was like, okay, you know, this guy is an absolute animal. He's the one that pretty much picks up all the slack and wills his team to win. But we will see the save from the SK side. It does go trade for trade until then. And hey, guess what? Edward's on catwalk again, and he got 2 more kills.
No huge surprise, right? You kind of expect it now. You see Edward on catwalk, right, 2 or 3 kills guaranteed. It wasn't eco, so with a bit of padding stats, but he's been there so many times against rifles and held his own. And again, the issue remains where Fallen can't get his hands on an AWP. He's not too interested in a scout now, which he would often go back into, obviously not feeling it. So M4s instead. There's 0 defuse kits on their side, 0 incendiaries, which are pretty important on a map like Mirage. And Guardian to try and make the most of this. Flashes and smokes, though, will stop him from getting that early peak. And it's going to be FNX by himself for now, actually holding off against a potential 4-man push through both Palace and Ramp.
Well, look at the mass exodus from mid. They went for a little bit of early mid aggression on the SK side, and now they're all over here towards the A bomb site to try to support FNX, who's actually stuck on balcony. And Edward finds his way around. They're not watching A-Ramp. He's going to come out. Guardian's going to be able to trade back. It's a 2-for-1 to start things off for the NaVi side. And now the rotation's on. It's a 3-on-4. And still a lot to be done into this round, but they've got a lot of control towards this A-bomb site, especially with Simple by Firebox. He can watch for the stair peek. Do they spot his head, though? Yes, they do. Simple. Have to take a little bit more of an aggressive angle, but he's still alive, still fighting in the backstab from Siege. Finally, Cold turns around. The timing isn't on his side, though. Fallen does trade that one back 3-on-2.
2 players fairly low on NaVi though, so this is still doable for SK. This next frag needs to go their way. Fallen's being picked off from Guardian, in the meanwhile he plays hyper-aggressive with the AWP. You can see the adrenaline's coursing through his veins. He's so confident at this point, and why shouldn't he be? He's playing top-tier Counter-Strike, as is the rest of NaVi, and it seems like SK are going to go out again as they did yesterday, where Train was incredibly one-sided. They mounted a bit of a comeback towards the end, but it was a similar scoreline on Train. So SK onto effectively an eco, so pretty much tapping out for this round and looking for 8 in a row to take us to overtime.
I gotta admit, Vince, this NaVi squad's looking scary.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
And the reason that I say that is because normally, you know, when they recruited Flamey into this NaVi roster, he was supposed to be the star player to be up there and support Guardian. When he's going ham, you got Flamey that goes off with him. They've got this 1-2 combo. But if Edward's going to keep playing like this, C's keeps playing like this, I mean, C's has been like the linchpin of this squad. I mean, you can always respect him for being able to pick up some frags and do a pretty decent job. This round's pretty much a throwaway for SK. It's all been NaVi, and that's the crazy thing is you've got 3 players that are all, you know, clicking on all cylinders for the time being, firing on all cylinders, and SK just doesn't have any of the answers for the questions that NaVi's asking them.
My main concern when it comes to NaVi, however, is when they're winning, they can definitely snowball things pretty convincingly in their favor. But when they're losing, how are they going to react to that? As my GoTV's reconnected, I'm not sure if it is for you as well.
It is, unfortunately.
Oh dear.
I believe that's probably, and for the sake of saying it, everybody's already saying it in chat, GG lag.
Yeah.
I think that it's probably because the map is over and it's already swapped over to the next map, so GoTV is going to reconnect. So we can probably assume that NaVi wins this one 16-7. It's just that's the unfortunate nature of the beast when it comes to things of this nature, sadly enough.
Yeah, it's just normally you get like a freeze of maybe 2 seconds, but this is actually just purely reconnecting. It's like, nope. So I'm just going to wait for confirmation to make 100% sure. I'm fairly sure it's what Mega Man said, that NaVi have taken this map on what I would assume would be 16-7 if it's happening this early on. So as soon as I get that confirmed, we'll pass that on, guys. I'll switch back to the waiting screen while we discuss. But what I was going to say before, and I'll be curious to pick your brains on this, Mega Man, that I think when NaVi are winning, they're the kind of team that can snowball those victories because they are so talented individually. But they do have a few members of their team that can get quite hot-headed, can get carried away, press that self-destruct button. So when they're on the losing end, that's when I'm really curious to see how strong this team is going to be.
Yeah, and that's one of the things is they snowball on both sides of the coin. You know, when they're hot and they're going in on a team and just absolutely wrecking them, they're nigh unstoppable. I mean, the only team that's been their Achilles heel has been Fnatic in the past. I don't think they've won a BO3 against Fnatic on LAN at all. I think is the stat line for that. They're the only team that they haven't been able to take in a BO3. But when they're losing, it's like you said. I mean, Flamey has been notoriously pretty hot-headed. I've seen C's, you know, head and hands and at LAN and things like that. Edward can get pretty snippy with his teammates as well. And then you mix Simple in with that, who's kind of known as being pretty toxic in the past. When they hit that self-destruct button, I mean, it's just going to be like a tactical nuke is launched into their camp, and I just see them tilting off the planet. Luckily, they haven't had that happen to them in this Showmatch thing because they've been winning pretty handily. Yeah,
I guess that there's another aspect to that as well, though, that with it being Showmatch, a lot of the pressure is off. You know, it's more of a state, not necessarily for fun, but you're boot camping, you're playing seriously, but there's not a great deal on the line in terms of, you know, a LAN finals or something. And that's typically where some players will tilt, some players will not show up and have rough days and rough games. But it has been confirmed it's 16-7 to NaVi. So that's Mirage wrapped up. Next will be Overpass. We're going to cut back to a quick break, if you're cool with that, Mega Man, and then we will resume the action when Overpass comes around.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back, guys.
Sound muted.